Thank you very much, Last Cearloch. Minister, thank you for coming about what is obviously a very important issue, which is palliative care services in the northeast of Ireland, which is where I come from. I'm raising this issue today because of a real discrepancy in the services that are being provided in the CHO region, not compared to the rest of Ireland, but in the region itself, and the difference of services that are being provided in the Louth and Meath areas compared to the Portlaoise and Offaly areas, which fall under CHO8. So let me explain what that is, but that's the premises of why I'm raising it today. So many SPC teams are similar in structure, where they have a team of clinical nurse specialists, 3 consultants in palliative care medicine. And in the summer of 2002, one consultant spoke on local Northeast radio to state that there would be a waiting list for palliative care services in the Northeast area as a result of increased challenges after the pandemic. So a waiting list for terminally ill patients. Patients requiring palliative care, as you will well know, have already gone through so many treatments, so many hospital appointments. They have done literally everything to have an extra day on this earth. And the cancer strategy that was announced in 2017, and what we absolutely guarantee as a right, is that people have the ability to die in their own home, to die in their own bedroom, to die in their own bed. And I have people in my county of Louth and in my neighbouring county of Meath that are not being given that choice, and as a result are dying in hospitals and are dying in acute settings rather than where they want to be. And the reason for that is quite simple. And again, I'm going to focus on CHO8 and my neighbouring areas. So in Cavan and Monaghan, with the exception of Louth and Meath, the public health nurse services are operational in the management of symptom and pain management, and they have the skills to administer the syringe treatments and ensure that all patients are being seen in their place of residence as opposed to a hospital. So just to make that clear, in the CHO8 area, in Laois and Portlaoise and Offaly, you have nurses who are able to go into homes and administer pain relief medicine. However, that is not the case in Louth and Meath. They are not allowing nurses to do that. Instead, they're getting the nurses above that, the specialist clinics, to do that. And there's a shortage of those specialist clinics. So this isn't a case of like a supply issue or a work staff shortage. It's the difference. To be honest with you, it's a lottery nearly, based on your geographical location, about the difference of end-of-life treatment that you are getting. So if you're in Louth and Meath, we are not sending in public health nurses to do pain relief medicine like injections, syringes, palliative care. But we're doing it in Portlaoise and Offaly. We're doing it in Cavan and Monaghan. We're doing it in other parts of the country. So it's a complete discrepancy. And it's one that I don't understand why that's happening. And it means then, as a result, that you have people, and Minister, I'm being honest about it, I have examples of people in my county of Louth dying in hospitals that weren't able to die at home, as was their last wish, because we are allocating staffing arrangements in a different way in Louth and Meath within the HSE than Portlaoise, Offaly, Cavan or Monaghan. And it's upsetting, to say the least, that that is happening. It really is upsetting, to say the least. And this is something that I will absolutely continue to champion and fight for as long as I'm a member of this House, to ensure that people in my county of Louth and my town of Dundalk have the same equal right of access to die and have palliative care than elsewhere. And it's down to a staffing decision and decisions that are being made in the HSE. Why on earth is a nurse able to give palliative care treatment in Laois or Offaly, but they're not being allowed to do that in Louth or Meath? It doesn't make sense to me. And just to wrap up, Cearloch, I know you're coming in here, Minister, and I appreciate it. And I know I'm throwing a lot at you here that you wouldn't have perhaps known before coming in. And it is something that perhaps after this debate, we, through your offices or the Department of Health, could set up a meeting between myself and the CHO8 in the Louth Meath area to see how we can fix this.
Minister, thank you, Senator.
Thank you very much. And Senator, thank you very much for bringing such a valuable contribution to the floor of the Seanad today. And I want to compliment the Seanad leader for actually accepting it, because I was totally unaware of such a discrepancy. I'm going to read the script because Minister Donnelly has prepared it, and then I will give an answer. So the Minister for Health, Stephen Donnelly, has been advised that specialist palliative care services in Louth and Meath provide care to patients of all ages, irrespective of diagnosis, cancer or non-cancer, on the basis of need alone. These services are provided by by a multidisciplinary team, including consultant clinical nurse specialists and a range of health and social care professionals. Patients may be referred at any stage of illness, in some cases from time to time of diagnosis. The HSE have informed the Minister that all patients are triaged in line with the national policy. Consideration is given to the reason for referral, the patient's underlying diagnosis, their symptoms burden and how acutely unwell they may be. Triage usually occurs on the same working day as referral, or in some cases the following day. The HSE has stated that it is unusual that triage wait times would be longer than 2 days. The HSE has informed the Minister that the percentage of patients triaged within 1 working day in Louth has increased from 51% in 2020 to an estimated 81% in 2023. The triaging of patients categories their needs in a formalised way on the basis of this information. The patients may be categorised under U1 to be seen within 48 hours, U2 within 7 days and U3 within 14 days. These categories have been determined nationally, so that's the national policy on triaging. The triage process can be short-circuited by a simple phone call from a GP for any patient that is deemed to be end of life or immediately dying. These patients will be seen ordinarily on the same working day, Monday to Friday. New referrals over the weekend are dealt with on the next working day. The Minister has been advised that referral rates have increased for both Louth and Meath since 2020. The first assessment of all patients is ordinarily taken by a clinical nurse specialist, or in some cases, depending on the complexities, the first assessment may be undertaken by the consultant. In line with the HSE policy on digital health, some first assessments are undertaken as a virtual assessment. The decision regarding a virtual or face-to-face assessment is made on the basis of information in the referral and informed by discussions with the primary referrer, GP or hospital consultant. It should become apparent that an assessment is required face-to-face. There is usually done on the same working day or the next working day. And in the time that I've allowed, Chair, if it's okay, I will divert a little bit from the script. I don't think Minister Donnelly, to be fair to himself or his team, had a clear understanding as how you have laid it out there. I think the answer you have got there is actually the national policy and the timelines and how it is administered. What you were talking is when a person is discharged to their home, their right actually to have end-of-life care treatment provided to them in their home. How it is done in Louth and Meath is very different to Laois and Offaly or to Cavan and Monaghan. And it is not in keeping with what is the practice of the rest of the CHO, but there seems to be a higher level of administration in Louth and Meath than there is the public health nurse being able to do it in the other counties. I know from Galway, the public health nurse is part and parcel of it. With my own mum, it was the public health nurse. So I will, of course, take up a meeting with the support of Minister Donnelly, with your CHO, to have a clear understanding as to why there isn't equity of access for public health nurses to all patients at palliative care level right across your CHO.
That is really promising, Minister, and as always when you come into this House you come in with a very fair and balanced view, and I really appreciate that outcome that you're going to be able to do, because really what is needed is a fundamental review of the services in Louth and Meath and why it's different to elsewhere. And just to be clear about it so I can put it properly on the record, in Portlaoise and Laois and Cavan and Monaghan, it's the public health nurses that go in and provide that pain management. However, in Louth and Meath, it's been still managed by the clinical nurse specialists who are a level above in the tier system. So why is that happening? Why are people having to go back into hospitals to die in a hospital because we're not sending a public nurse in to administer them with palliative care and end-of-life treatment? It's deeply, deeply upsetting for so many people who have to go through this. People want to die at home. They want to die surrounded by their friends and their families and their loved ones. They want to die in an area that they're comforted in. And we, as part of that cancer strategy, have to absolutely provide that for everyone. And there's a clear discrepancy where people in my county of Louth, in my town of Dundalk, are being hugely discriminated against compared to people living across the border in Cavan, Meath, Cavan, Monaghan, elsewhere in the CHO8 area. And I would really appreciate that this discrepancy is rectified.
Very much, Senator and Minister.
Right. Chair, thank you very much. And again, Senator, thank you so much for bringing this before us. Because of the urgency of it, I will ask my office to liaise with Minister Donnelly's office to get it set up straight away. I would hate to think that we don't have any public health nurses right across Lowther Meath. I would like to think that we do have. So I think there must be addressing how the practice is being delivered in Lowther Meath. So we will address that over the coming days. Thank you.